Hello and welcome. My name is Moira Cook and I'm District Director for the Health Department office here in Middlebury. We serve all of Addison County with a variety of public health programs. I'm also the convener of the Addison County Committee on Opiate Addiction. We focus on prevention, education, treatment, and recovery for those who may be struggling with the disease of addiction. Today, I am really pleased to have Rachel Edwards on our show. Welcome, Rachel.
Thanks very much.
I'm going to read through your wonderful credentials.
Sure.
Rachel is an acupuncturist who practices in Bristol. Rachel is also licensed in herbal medicine, is a Tai Chi practitioner, a massage therapist, and in addition to running your own practice, you work at Mountain Health Center up in Bristol. Yeah. And there you do massage therapy and acupuncture?
Yes, that's right.
Great. And today we're going to be speaking about a form of acupuncture that has been shown to be effective to help people who are in recovery for addiction.
Yes.
So welcome to the show.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for joining us. So can you just start by telling us a little bit about acupuncture and how it helps people?
Sure. So I think in a word, acupuncture is of benefit to people because it offers an experience of feeling connected. So it's a medicine that's considered holistic in the sense that its mind, body, spirit is all considered one aspect of the self, and the sort of theory underneath it or within it is that our bodies are infused with this energy that's called qi in Chinese, and the best definition we have in English is energy, and so this energy is believed to be channeled, or it runs through specific channels in the body. And so acupuncture needles, which are very, very thin, sterile, stainless steel, disposable needles, are tapped into specific points along these channels, or meridians, they're sometimes called. And this essentially induces increased flow of energy in the body. And dis-ease or disharmony is fundamentally considered due to blockages. So the greater the degree of circulation, the more every system in the body has a chance to communicate, and one comes from this experience as, again, feeling connected and whole and integrated. And that experience of the self can then translate into feeling that same kind of connection in life with others.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thanks for the explanation. That was really
Sure.
helpful. So can you just tell us how acupuncture has evolved in this country, how you've seen it, the practice of acupuncture grow and change?
Sure. Yeah, it has an interesting history. So it first came to the United States essentially by individuals from China, coming to the United States in spurts, probably in the 1960s and 1970s. And at the time, acupuncture was not regulated. So essentially, people were coming to practice and sharing the benefits of the medicine. And I would say acupuncture also, with herbal medicine and other modalities, are considered what's called Chinese medicine. So acupuncture being one branch of this whole philosophical paradigm, really. And so these practitioners were introducing the benefits to people slowly and surely and steadily. And at some point, the powers that be realized, okay, we need to sort of have an overseeing body to protect and enhance both the recipients and the practitioners. So eventually associations were formed, and again, a governing body that now regulates licensure of acupuncturists in this country, and schools have also cropped up all around the nation. So I studied in a school in New York City, 20 years ago now, and and so in order to become a licensed acupuncturist, at this point, one needs an undergraduate degree, and it is a 4-year master's program, during which you learn all kinds of health-related topics, including anatomy and physiology, biological sciences from the Western standpoint, concurrently with Eastern philosophy, all the theory of Chinese medicine, acupuncture, etc. So, and it ends with a clinical piece, typically. And then once you graduate, you are then eligible to sit for a national exam and then apply for licensure in any state that has acupuncture as a license.
So pretty extensive training.
Pretty extensive training.
Yeah,
Yep.
That's great.
Yep.
Just I wasn't
It's
aware
not a
of.
casual endeavor.
No, it's not a casual
No.
endeavor. It's a
No,
lifelong.
pretty strong commitment, right?
Yeah, exactly. So tell us a little bit about how acupuncture can help those who are struggling with addiction and what the benefits may be of using this modality.
Sure. So I think my interest in applying or integrating acupuncture into the field of addiction and public health generally was actually in graduate school during acupuncture training, and I was just completely enthralled with the idea that that acupuncture should be integrated into the public health setting, and mostly because I think a lot of public health maybe diseases are sort of multifaceted. So it's not just that a person has a problem, but there's sort of a cultural milieu or a sort of a dis-ease of society.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and again, acupuncture comes from a philosophy that the mind, body, and spirit are connected. And what to me is fascinating is, you know, as testimonial to the treatment group that in these interviews are representing, you know, so much of the community has had to pull together to acknowledge this problem and challenges that we're having. So the law enforcement, education, treatment, prevention, healthcare settings, like we're all working together. And again, to me, this speaks so well to the fact that this is not just an individual problem, but it's all of us.
A community disease.
It's a community disease, exactly.
Yeah.
And so acupuncture, again, because of the context in which it has arisen, speaks to that really well. So a person who is struggling with cravings, you know, dealing with trauma, with any kind of physical, emotional imbalances, the acupuncture just helps, again, remove blockages, opens up the gateways for transformation, and importantly, it really does enforce the idea that each of us does have this innate capacity to heal and transform. So it's not, the needles aren't injecting something into the body, and this, again, for addiction, this is a significant mental shift that it's again, instigating or influencing the body's own capacity to heal.
So do you find, have you heard or have experienced patients that for whom it may be triggering to use needles?
Well, that's an interesting question. Right. Well, yes, that's a good question. You know,
it was only because you made the comment about needles.
Yes. Well, so because of our experience typically with hypodermic needles, a very common fear of acupuncture is needles, and all the associations that we have. And so I do a lot of education. I visit support groups like through the community counseling service of Addison County. I have visited groups and run a group there, and typically it's a surprise to people how thin the needles are and how it doesn't actually hurt.
Right.
And the classic question, does it hurt? I usually say, well, you're going to feel something, there's sensation. And again, this is an important reframe that we actually want to feel something because this is sort of getting in touch with ourselves. And, you know, a lot of self-medication happens because people, you know, naturally and justifiably don't want to feel. But again, this feeling sense of kind of getting through stuff and learning how to cope on our own is significant. So I usually do say, you know, here are the needles, and they're very flexible. And again, as you're saying, it comes as a surprise. And however, it's not for everybody. Definitely, some people are like, no, not for me.
Yeah,
and you respect that, and it's good. And
like any other treatment, some aspects don't work for some folks.
Yes,
right,
exactly. And importantly, the history of acu-detox, which I don't know if you were going to maybe address that specifically.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'll speak a little bit about acu-detox, which is a specific protocol that has been integrated into the field of addiction and recovery. So this acu-detox is a 5-point protocol that's in the ears, on the outside of the ears, and it was developed in New York City about, I guess, in the 1970s in response to the drug epidemic at that time.
Oh, okay.
A gentleman, Dr. Michael Smith, was part of a recovery center in New York City, and just really grasping at anything that could be integrated to help. So they actually were doing body acupuncture, and then slowly and surely, again, just focused on the ear points as a way to easily transmit the medicine to many people in a room. So by its historical context, acu-detox is meant to be done in groups, which to me is a lovely, empowering feeling, because it just brings people together, and a field is created around what's happening individually and collectively. Very calming, extremely relaxing, and this so this protocol slowly began to evolve to a point where now people can get trained. So, for example, anyone in the recovery field, and this is true in the state of Vermont, can get trained to be what's called an acupuncture detox specialist or technician. So these are people within recovery and addiction settings that can be trained to do this protocol without becoming a licensed acupuncturist. So this is regulated by the Office of Professional Regulation in Vermont. And I mean, the acu-detox work I do is by me, a licensed acupuncturist, so I often will do body points and all, but there are places in different counties now that have just the acu-detox offered, up in Burlington, Montpelier, Lamoille County, here and there, and there's trainings available. So again, acu-detox is a sort of, I guess, a branch of acupuncture generally. So while acu-detox is acupuncture, body acupuncture is not acu-detox, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a great distinction, and thanks for clarifying that, because I was sort of running them together in my head.
Sure, yeah, that's helpful to know. Yeah.
So I want to get back to how acu-detox works in this county, and, but in a second. But I'm interested because I understand following the 9/11 attacks, there was pretty good, pretty wide use of. Was it acu-detox for first responders? Yes.
So that was quite a significant event, and that speaks to a kind of a shift historically in this country. So it so happens I was still in graduate school at Chinese medicine school during 9/11. So I was in Chinatown, actually performing acupuncture when things started to really happen.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, it was quite something. Quite something. Whew, I'm getting kind of chills about that. Yeah, it was quite something. And a colleague of mine, Wendy Henry, who was involved, again, probably similar to me, involved with public health and acupuncture at the time, she started a kind of a clinic at St. Vincent's Hospital where firefighters could come. All people who were dealing with the trauma of this event could come and receive treatment free anytime. I think they set up, just many hours of possible treatment times. And then eventually that led to all kinds of integration of acupuncture and counseling into the firefighting system in New York City.
Wow.
So that was, again, like a bit of a shift around integrating acupuncture into different, applying it to trauma, PTSD, natural disaster relief. There's an Acupuncturists Without Borders that will go to, again, places like after a natural disaster and offer acupuncture. So 9/11, I think, was probably the first real noted event where that started.
What an incredible resource.
It was incredible. And again, what was happening within the rescue workers, often, as is true with people undergoing severe suffering with addiction, they don't necessarily want to talk about it.
Sure.
So having a nonverbal therapy where you can just come and experience relief, maybe sleep better, that was a big one.
Sure.
Anxiety, depression sort of regulated, just the whole body has a chance to calm down, essentially, and again increases our capacity to cope. So the feelings and the experiences keep coming, but the body is stronger and able to sort of be more less susceptible to just be less susceptible.
So you can see how this would be an effective tool in terms of recovery from addiction.
Right.
If you're building up the body again so that the mind can relax and be a little calmer.
Right, and essentially, cope better, make better choices, relate to family members with more stability. And that speaks to the idea that getting acupuncture over time is quite powerful.
Sure.
So the group I do at the counseling service meets weekly, and people come and have had success with, again, better sleep, less pain, and again, just that sense of connection is
So talk about where and how you provide this treatment.
Right. So due to the gifts and intentions of people within CSAC, we ushered in acu-detox, and we call it a stress reduction group at the Court Street address 2 years ago. In fact, this month marks the beginning of our third year.
Great.
So it's fantastic, and you know, you all, if anyone has a clinical relationship within the CSAC programming, they can come and have a treatment with others in chairs. Actually, now people set up yoga mats and pillows and lie down as well. And I offer up some visualization and some meditative instruction due to my experience, but primarily it's the acupuncture, and yeah, so it happens weekly. And so I'm also now an employee at Mountain Health Center, and again, speaking to the, I think, wave of integration that's happening around the country and in Vermont, Mountain Health Center and FQHC represents this emergence, really, of complementary medicine happening alongside and with Western medicine. So body acupuncture treatments are offered there, and some massage. And we're actually currently right at the brink of offering some kind of AcuDetox group, working in conjunction with the Bristol Internal Medicine next door. And yeah, just working collaboratively with other organizations like the Turning Point Center and CSAC, and yeah, and the doctors at the Suboxone Clinic.
So they will refer to you as another form of assistance.
Yeah, exactly. That's
relaxation.
Right. Yes, exactly. And it's not, AcuDetox and acupuncture is within, I think, addiction and recovery is not necessarily standalone. In fact, it isn't a standalone treatment, I would say, definitely, because counseling, you know, all and as much support is required, I believe. And for some, the acupuncture is really, really potent in just what's required, maybe at certain times, to sort of allow for greater change. And again, that's within the context of a whole program for people.
So it's one piece of a broader treatment plan that may include medication.
Yes, that's
and talk therapy.
Yes, exactly.
But this is a great I love that you made the note of it's a non-speaking therapy.
Yes,
which can be important for some people. Right. Yeah, it's great. So you mentioned the initials FQHC.
Oh, yes.
So let's talk a little bit about what Mountain Health is. It's a federally qualified health center.
Yes.
And what sort of services do they provide there, and who do they serve?
Right. So the FQHC model is actually replicated around the state of Vermont, mostly by Bernie Sanders' mission and vision, that every county should have a health center where one's ability to pay is not the reason why they can't get health care. So the FQHC model offers accessible and effective primary care, dental care, and behavioral health. So because of the funding structure, the model is in a position to sort of expand and bring in, like my role there now, complementary care. Actually, there's, I believe, a nutritionist on staff, and again, looking at things more holistically. So, and actually, the new dental center has opened up this past month in Bristol. So, it's and again, it's federal funding, so there's all kinds of, you know, overseeing rules and regs to sustain that. But essentially, even if you don't have insurance and need health care, it's the place to go.
That's great. So, and a wide array, and is it children through?
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
So anyone can go?
Yep, anyone can go.
Do you have to be a resident of the Five-Town area?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
That's a good question, right?
Yeah, I think it's Addison County, but I don't exactly know the borders.
Right. Well, there's an FQHC in Burlington, up in the north end.
Right.
That's an FQHC, and I believe there's one in Rutland as well. So depending on where you live, but certainly it shouldn't inhibit a phone call. There's a woman there on staff who helps with outreach, answers questions about insurance. It's a very, very wonderful place to get information and support.
What a great resource for the community.
Fantastic.
So talk a little bit more about how you work with, say, the Turning Point Center. We've actually had folks from Bristol Internal Medicine, the Turning Point Center, and CSAC. So talk a little bit about how you interact with all those different agencies and organizations. Sure.
So I suppose it's because of the committee that, again, inspired this website and our being together today. And again, the vision of a few very enthusiastic people that I joined the committee with, again, the sense that this is a interconnected I don't want to say problem, but challenge that we have. And so because of the committee, I developed relationships with the Turning Point Center and the doctors at Bristol Internal Medicine and the counseling service. And so I guess I would say they know who I am, and there's a certain trusting relationship there. I kept showing up to meetings, and people were like, "Huh, what's this acupuncture thing?" Like, well, I'm just going to keep showing up. So I kept showing up, and this is how trust forms and communication is enhanced. And so I basically have a pretty informal yet committed relationship to people in the area in the field. I had a chance to attend the summit. We went to that summit in Montpelier, right?
The Governor's Forum.
Yeah, the Governor's Forum, right. And it was fantastic because, again, it felt like we were representing our county, and it's just a chance to network and share our stories and how we can support each other. So I kind of feel like I'm just a conduit, really. Like what we do is we're just kind of feeding into the stream of health for one another.
That's great. Yeah. That's great. So tell me, is there a fee that folks who
It's an important question.
to go to CSAC, Counseling Services of Addison County, or Mountain Health, do they have to pay an extra fee? Is there insurance?
Good question. Yep. And so that part of the answer to that is goes back to the historical history, or the history of acupuncture and Chinese medicine in this country. So it's generally not covered by insurance, with exceptions. So if you're on Medicaid, Medicare, not covered by those programs. Some private insurance carriers will cover acupuncture. So having said that, at Mountain Health, it's a out-of-pocket expense. However, there's the capacity to develop a flexible payment plan, and this is for body acupuncture. So with the AcuDetox, we're actually really just figuring out how to make it accessible. We've talked about like something like $3 to $10, where you come and it's part of a group where I go around and treat people again in a group setting. So it's not extra, but it's different than the body acupuncture. So body acupuncture is a one-on-one clinical relationship where it's time in a room where I'm doing a differential diagnosis and sort of making connection with one person at a time, whereas the group AcuDetox, there's no real formal intake where people can come in, sign a release form, and then they're part of a group dynamic. So the cost, therefore, is less per person.
Sure.
So, again, we're striving to have this medicine and modality be accessible to as many people as possible. And I guess I would end that by saying, please don't let money stop you from connecting with me and this medicine, because it's fantastic. And if someone's committed and inspired and wants to get as much help as they can, then the door is open.
That's great. So how do they schedule an appointment or end up finding out more about your groups?
Sure. So, I have a website, stillmountainquietheart.com, and it's on the Addiction Help website, I believe. And I'm starting a new center, a new place in this summer in Bristol called the Hawthorne Center. We have a new website, so I'll probably add that to the Addiction Help Vermont website. And that, starting this summer, we're going to offer once a month a community clinic for, again, sliding scale, free to maybe $25 for acupuncture and herbal consultation and sessions. So that's coming up. And you can just call Mountain Health and speak to one of the staff people there, and then you'll get directed to me via a phone message, or you can go ahead and schedule an appointment, or you can contact me through there, and also through CSAC. I guess you could call the Court Street Zilpha Trask. Yeah, she coordinates the stress reduction group through CSAC, and she's the contact person there.
The CSAC group is really for patients.
Yes, and that's free, right? There's no charge through CSAC
for that
great. Group. Yeah, there's
that's
special
great.
Funding that's allowed this group to continue, which is great.
That's amazing. So tons of resources, lots of ways to get in touch with you. And we only have a couple minutes left, so I will put a plug in for the addictionhelpvt.com website, because you'll be able to find out more about Rachel's work and a whole variety of work that's happening in the community. Any last final thoughts before we end today's program?
I feel
that was an really open, broad question.
I'm so happy to be here and so inspired, and really feel again that it's our sense of community here in Vermont that's really spectacular. And so again, if anyone out there is feeling lost and confused and needs a helping hand, please don't hesitate and call us.
It was really lovely to speak with you,
Likewise.
Rachel. You taught me a whole lot.
Oh, good.
So that was great. So really appreciate your time. And again, take a look at addictionhelpvt.com, and thank you.